Good evening, everyone. Here it's Bruce Newman from Bruce Newman's Academy, director of the Next Level of Yourself project. Tonight we're gonna talk about spirituality, self-development, and hopefully quantum physics. I'm more than glad to receive Denise Love. Denise, good evening.
Good evening, Bruce. Thank you for having me here.
So I do remember very first conversation, which was about quantum healing. And we're talking about this passionating concept, which is about healing your future self and eventually opening a dialogue with your future self. Would you like to develop a little bit this concept?
Sure. I mean, our future self is calling us forward to the timeline that is our desired destiny. It's not just a desire. It's we're attracted to it. It's magnetic. So when we're in this current moment, we can always realize there's a future and a past. And the past we think about a lot. We're used to that. But really, this is the time to think about our future, because our future is also present and potentially present in our psyche, in our cosmic consciousness. And some say there is no time backwards and forwards, or backwards is similar to forwards. Yet, in calling our future forth, or our future calling ourselves forth, we can really work with dream landscape and consciousness, awareness of where we're going, where we want to go, what our destiny is, and what future potentials there are. If there's multiple timelines, which one is the one that feels best, that we're most magnetized, that feels like our gift and offering for even existing on Earth. So there's things we can do to communicate with our future. And one thing we can ask ourselves is, what would my future self say to me right now? What would my future self thank me for doing right now? So, for instance, audience, Bruce, Denise, what would your future self thank you for doing right now?
Obviously, the consciousness as a phenomenon is not local. We couldn't say that it's located on a specific point in space. Therefore, we do understand that consciousness is not located on a specific point in time neither. As far as future is already happened, and yet future is multiple, which method would you recommend to energize a specific future? Some people call it manifesting, and yet we see that this mechanism, which is commonly considered as what we can call the law of attraction, is already a matter to open some doors to quantum physics consideration. So here it is, how to energize this potential future. Which method would you recommend?
There are so many methods, but the first thing is to communicate with your future and visualize what is it and who are you being in your future? Because it's already in you, it's already a seed. So if you see that space of you in your future, you might visualize your body a certain way, your hair a certain way. So this is the outer look, but also what are you feeling internally? How do you feel? What are you thinking? How are you behaving? Who's around you? What is your atmosphere, your surrounding? So just place yourself, close your eyes, and place yourself at a point in your future. And you decide that. You can decide it's a year, 5 years, 10 years. A lot of times we go with 10 years because that's like, what is the phenomenon 10 years? A lot of people can't think that far. So if you can, imagine that. But let's go with 1 year. So simply 1 year, you've incrementally changed. So how do you dream and imagine yourself? So working with your subconscious mind, your cosmic mind, and bringing it into the now. So you can work with your wishes, your hopes, and you say thank you for this existing, and you act as if it's existing, and you see it as if it's existing. You see it, you think it, you feel it, you smell it. You bring as many senses as possible in, and so there's ways to get into this visualization as well. So if you're struggling with visualizing it and being solid with that visualization, where moving senses, all the senses are working, you can also write it down. You can draw it out. You can sing it. It's you can work with the expressing it in it now, and expressing it in a way as I'm grateful it's here, even though it's in the future, rather than, oh, I hope, I wish. We don't want to say, I hope, I wish, because then that's still putting it further away from you as if it's not there. But when you're present with it is here, then the manifestation momentum and your actual energy is feeling it as existing. And the subconscious does not know the difference between real and unreal. So you'll be able to catch what's real more and more as you feel as if it is real, and it will become real more likely, especially if everything's in tune to unfold with that. And you can only really see what's possible anyway.
The future has an influence towards the past. As far as we can change our past, we can redirect our future. And in the same way, by energizing our future, we can heal our past. Which would be the difference in terms of healing and eventually in terms of attraction between communicating with your future self and communicating with your past self?
So are you asking, how can we heal from in both directions? Is that what you're asking?
Precisely.
Okay. Well, let's start with the past. Like, everything is perception, right? So if you think about the past and you think about our physical manifestation in this consensus reality that we're living, we have certain modalities, certain ways from our cultures. And a lot of times we remember the past according to what, how we were working with our current culture of the time. So we have these moments of this was remembered, that was remembered, that was remembered, that was remembered. for your past. So it could be that your culture was uncomfortable, abusive, even. So you're remembering all these really intense places, and that's your memory and that's your perception. So in and then right now people are jumping into the future. We're going into this, we're going into that. It's so scary. And everyone, the consensus, the news is saying this is going to happen. That's going to be bad. That's going to be that bad. That's going to be bad. And so everyone's getting through this, this thought sense. And it's a web of all of our thoughts interwoven and interconnected of the same thought that, and that it's not going to be great. So we have the negative in the past and the negative in the future. What do you think we're going to create? We're going to remember the negative. We're going to remember, and you can remember the future too, remember the negative there. But really, what you can do is you can reconstruct that by looking at what is the other potential? What was the learning experience in the past? What did I gain from that? Where's the happiness, the love, the heart, the soul? Even if it was painful, there's soul there. How can you gain the soul and bring that into the now and start working with, like, you know what? I learned this from that. I've got soul here. That person had soul, and forgive them. They know not what they did. If we were abused, a lot of people are just struggling. So, and then looking at the future, it's the same thing. Is if we're going to be in this web of we're going to hell, then, you're on the team of going to hell. But do you want to be on that team? Or do you want to be on a team of we're going to thriving? We're going to heaven on earth. We're going to bliss, paradise. Literally, earth is paradise. So what are we going to do? We're going to throw it away? Or are we going to create a reality that we love? And this is our healing. This is our evolution. And it's a momentum for all of us. It's change. It's what we're calling for.
That this phenomenon is somehow linked with what we commonly call quantum jumping.
Yeah, so quantum jumping. I don't know why I always think of London, like the gap,
Are
mind
you
the gap.
barking to me?
What?
Are you yawning?
Yawning?
Yawning. No, please keep going. We were talking about London.
Yes. So I was, when I think about quantum jumping or quantum leaping, I think about mind the gap in the subway, because I used to have a phone number that was Gap Leap. So about quantum jumping is there's this gap between time of, all these things between time can happen. But if you're going into this particular moment in the fractal of all possibilities, you can recognize that this is the moment I'm going, and then all the time and space will fill in to get there. So you can leap there in your consciousness, in your time frame, in multiple modalities, from dream space, from expression, from remote viewing, out of body experiences, all kinds of different ways, depending on what your abilities are, or who around you can help guide you. So there's that of, in the now, leaping to another space, and then, having that reality be magnetized to that space. So you're tethering, an entangled cord into that next space to actually find your way there. So there's that. There's other theories about how whole peoples can, come together with their consciousness and consensually decide that they're going to make a shift, make a new world creation together. So one person dreaming, might look crazy, but Two people dreaming becomes a reality. Five people dreaming, it can become more of a reality. 100 or 144,000 people dreaming of a new reality, we could jump literally into a new global reality. This is prophecy, but we see the reality of this in how we can shift reality, even one person, through our thoughts and our feelings and our vision. So they say that some old tribes, like the Mayans in Mexico, originally, or some they just left the earth. They disappeared all of a sudden. This is the lore. You know, we have real Mayans there that are still alive and they have their genetic codes, but they're saying that the magical people who built the pyramids and things like that just suddenly disappeared. So part of that lore is that they actually jumped into another quantum reality and left behind the reality that we're now in. So it's almost like these people went into another space, literally disappearing off of the face of the earth, and then so that's, you know, one idea of like there can be this division of those people are going to hell and these people are going to paradise. But I see this as earth as a whole spaceship, that we're here together and that we're going, this is our rock, this is our spaceship. So how do we get all of earth, or at least a large portion of earth, into believing that we could thrive and make this a beautiful place again and be healthy in our hearts and souls and our relationships with each other, and make that a consensus reality that comes true?
What this new or new collective consciousness shift would will look like, in your opinion? Beliefs are in your feelings. You maybe some have some precognition of that. You may foresee something.
Well, like honestly, I had the visions when I was 7 years old, um, in the 70s. So, you know, I and that's what kept me going. I told myself since I was a child, remember, remember, remember. And it was always remember the future. Remember it's going to be okay. Remember you're going to get through this. And I think we're there, given I thought it was going to happen 20 years ago in 2000, but now we're 2020s. So my perception of the timeline had me go into a little bit of depression a little while there, like it's not happening. But now I'm like, no, it is happening. It's just happening in a different realm. And there's a lot that we had to create and change, each one of us. So what I envision is that, for one, we can heal easily, that we don't have to have all these sicknesses, that we are in connection with our bodies, our minds, our physical, you know, beautiful existence on earth, and that we can thrive, we can breathe whole, we can feel bliss, we can dance in love, and that, you know, we can think, oh, wow, wouldn't it be great if some flowers pop up right here, and flowers pop up, the birds, the beautiful birds, the winds, the waters, everything clear, everything healthy. So, you know, given there's a lot that goes into that, and that's where the innovative mind of each individual, the dreaming innovative mind of everyone coming together as a collective, seeing how this is going to happen, we can envision it and see it happening magically, but we can also create it somehow by cleaning up the oceans, by cleaning up our bodies. So we have these new technologies coming through, and so is it, you know, that the question is it going to be technology that's going to happen? Is it just we're going to go back to nature? Is it going to be a combination of both? I'm definitely all about our nature coming alive in a higher gift, which is remembering how to heal and how to clear and how to have good energy. What does good energy mean? It means, you know, that we're not hurting our neighbor. We're being good people. We're staying in our sage and wisdom spaces. And the whole earth is learning how to become wise. And that to me is the evolution. And what is wisdom? It's to live fully and know what it is to be that. I talk about bliss all the time. Being bliss is our nature. We create health in our bodies when our bodies are in equilibrium, when our rhythm and our rhythms are, together, like the rhythms of the blood, the rhythms of the breath, the rhythms of the organs. It's a musical instrument almost. And when we're in that musical space of our whole body being tuned and all the bodies around of us being tuned, and then the world being tuned, like the grass, the sea, the air, then there's more bliss, there's more rhythm, there's more music. It's like we've gotten it's coherence, and it's coherent interconnections, and that can be global of all the connections that we have. They call it 3 degrees of disconnection or 3 degrees of separation. I call it 3 degrees of connection. So if all of our degrees of connection are having our nervous systems regulated and our instruments of our bodies in harmonic tuning with ourselves and our environment and each other, then we can create really amazing visions, dreams, and actuality manifesting on Earth.
We're talking about the body, and you're providing assistance and coachings upon the services that you're offering. You quite appreciate to put in light the aspects of the sacred geometry, notably through dance. How much dancing is an opportunity to draw through space some sacred geometrical figures, and how much there's a resonance are driver of healing, but as well balancing and aligning our body energy points.
Well, we can talk about what comes to me when I think about dance is the creator, Nataraj, a point of Shiva where he's dancing with multiple arms and in a symmetrical way, and he's creating reality. So in India, they have Nataraj, the dancing Shiva. And so dancing Shiva is creating reality. So that so we can talk about the geometry of the body when we dance. So you can I've been in a lot of dance scenes and a lot of different music, and every music creates a kind of feeling inside of the body, which then creates a kind of dance. So if you're playing, for instance, the 4/4, that's like the heart, the 4/4 beat, and it's the heart. And so a lot of people are dancing like, oh, love, and like this is so beautiful, and like, and then there's like the sacred dances of, different mudras and these things. When we get in our body in ways that can move in these sacred ways, we actually create waves of energy, like Nataraj with his arms going like this, dancing Shiva. It's actually like creating from the center of the body, the torus, waves of energy going out. So what he's thinking and what he's feeling as he dances, or she or we, then this wave can emanate from us, and we can also create reality in our bodies through dance. I used to call it voguing. Like you just stop and you're in a position, and you can be like in a position. And when I did the dance alchemy courses, I would have people stop in a position, and then that would be the position that they would be creating. Like if your arms are out like this, then it's like a receiving. If you're pushing your hands out like that, it's like a giving, or bringing things in, sharing things out. So these different dance modalities from different tribes and things like that. They were dancing for life creation, farming, water, wind, sun. So these dances somehow create an energy landscape either for yourself individually or for the people around you or for your tribe, the nature. So through the potency of our dancing, our feet are on the ground and you can stomp in the ground, and that creates like a kind of heartbeat into the ground, like the Native Americans, like the round dance. It's a lot about the feet landing on the ground. And I don't know as much about that as I would like to, but I have friends that hopefully I'll get to do some round dancing with them. But I think about the pulse and the throb of the earth, and how when I walk or when I dance, like how are my feet landing on the ground? So you can think of like your feet as an echo into the earth, and then and you think about how lightning actually creates create some realities on some planets. Like it can create, whether there's mountains and things like that. And so that happens too. So every time we walk, every time we dance and stomp our feet on the ground, it's like a lightning strike or a drum or a thunder that we're bringing into the earth. So what we're thinking and what we're feeling, that can also like stomp the reality in. So when we think about like, we can dance like this and this creates waves, but like literally, when you think about it, the wave is going off, wave going off. So you bring the wave in, you bring the wave out. So, and that's also with our singing and our expression, and every movement can be in rhythm and waves. And when you think about water and ripples, and when a drop goes into a pond, you see these ripples, right? So these ripples, our thought is like that drop going into a pond, or our intention or our movement. And so it can just ripple out from the center of us. And that's what's so wonderful to be human conscious, is that we can have a center, but we can also have multiple centers. So we can have this momentum ripple out into reality, and that's reality through time and intention. Is that making sense?
Makes total sense. When people are coming to you, which are the challenges, the most difficult challenges that they have to face, and what is your best way to assist them? How would you choose rather to use some quantum tools, or to reconnect their anchorage and their connection with Earth through the sacred dances and the sacred geometry? Which are the main problems that they are facing? Is it stress? Is it anxiety? Is it a lack of connection with their daily life or their future? Is it about healing some past traumas? What do you see happening the most?
I see people being really anxious, really having a lot of anxiety about what they're supposed to do, how they're going to do it. They seem very confused about what they're meant to do a lot of times. So they feel like they have to satisfy society, satisfy, certain people, certain goals, certain bosses, girlfriends, boyfriends, partners, family. So people are confused about what they are meant to do, and that what they actually love doing could be lucrative. And so there's that. That's when you come into purpose, like dynamic purpose, really like getting into your passion, your purpose, or the ikigai of what am I good at? What does the world need? And what is sellable? You know, like these different things. So kind of bringing together all these aspects and seeing how people can actually be a gift to the earth. And so that's what I see a lot is people just not really listening to themselves and not knowing how to listen to themselves, or if they do listen to themselves, they doubt what they hear and they don't know what to do with it. So what I help people do is listen to themselves and discover that this is their treasure, that they have gems inside of them and that they can polish them and use them as a gift for Earth, and that people actually do are searching for it, and that can also be lucrative. So that's been my journey quite a bit. So that's what I see, and is, you know, a lot of people's journeys we're often doing what we think we're supposed to do for a societal desire or a societal, you know, standard. And a lot of times that those standards are old, made by someone else and not made from the essence of our truth and our life experience and our life's passions and desires. So, yeah. And so people are anxious and stressed about that because they're doing things that they don't enjoy, and then they don't get energized by that. They lose energy, they get confused, they get depressed, and they don't feel like they're fulfilling anything that actually means something to them. And a lot of times they don't even know that this is happening, but they're unhappy, they're fatigued, they're sick, and they're anxious and they're stressful. So they're stressed. So what we find out is as you do what you love, you have more energy, you have more excitement, more delight, you have better connections, and you're actually creating something that means something to you and means something to others. Usually, when it has meaning to you, it thus has meaning to many others as well. And then you find your people.
There is this imbalance between what we call the rational intelligence and the emotional intelligence. We're living on a civilization where we are engaged to use our rational intelligence, act and react using no matter what logic as a repair. And the emotional intelligence, which is a part of our psyche and somehow 50% of our conscious mind, is not recognized, it's not respected, not understood, and eventually even not considered. How would you deal with that, and how much this plays a preponderant role in this matter of confusion that you're meeting through all these people, which are, as you can affirm, lost, desperately searching for a direction? How you see that, this balance between the rational and emotional intelligence?
Yes, this is really deep and loaded, and basically rational being masculine and emotional being feminine. That is looked at that on some levels of, you know, rational being creating foundations, creating structure, creating values and goals, and this creates a structure for more liquid, soft, like emotional experiences to come through. So where we're at is that the rational has taken over so much in so many societies that the emotional has been considered unimportant. And if you're emotional, especially for men, you're considered not a man, not good enough, not this, not that. It's so, and so as a woman, I've seen, emotional men really struggling with their emotions and trying to be logical about it, and then getting stuck in logic loops, actually. And so I'm actually from Silicon Valley. And so you can look at logic, you can program it, you can create an algorithm, this information comes in and then it goes this way and that way in some sort of logical, rational way for the point that you're making, the program, the app, the system. So you can do that with yourself, and too, where the emotions are the data almost, so where the rational could be the reason why you're setting up the structure for the data or the emotions to come through. Of course, there can be more rational data coming in, which is more scientific based, and there's different ways where you can accept the data or the information that's coming in. So a lot of times emotion and intuition is considered unimportant data that isn't worthy of being considered or looked at to, make a decision or create a foundational momentum of some creation. So this is where the balance comes in, is how do you, I want to say, even afford the ability to allow the emotion come in? Because a lot of times if people that are super rational and they get emotion, they reject it and as unimportant or crazy or weird or out of bounds. So the rational creates a certain box, a certain bound, a certain structure. So if the emotion is saying, I want to come into this structure, and the structure has no space for that emotion, then it's going to be rejected. But the emotion keeps on coming up, and then it blows up, and it might even, take the entire structure down. So it's really looking at how can we bring the emotion in a healthy way. And if people have these emotions that don't fit in the box, in the structure that they created, then these emotions might end up, emotions being in the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind being 95% of our reality, and 5% being the conscious mind, according to some neurobiology. This, that statistic goes in and out, but it's usually more percent subconscious, less percent conscious. So anyway, if you don't have a place for these emotions, then they're gonna rupture like volcanoes, or it's gonna get in the way, or you're gonna get a disease because the emotion is still there and it's still happening in your body. So and a lot of people, like Kundalini awakening, they get all these emotions that are coming up and coming through, and it's like, but they have no place to put the emotions because it doesn't fit in their paradigm. It doesn't fit in their structure. So then they go crazy, like literally the Kundalini, awakening. A lot of people go crazy because they have all these emotions and all these visions that they don't know what to do with. And it doesn't fit in society. It doesn't fit in the boxes and structures that they know about. So it overwhelms them, and it can for some people be like a healing crisis, or we call it spiritual emergency, when you have all these emotions that you're finally allowing through, but you literally don't have the structures for them. So it's how do we balance, being able to allow the emotions to come into the structures? How do you ground them? How do you use them? Like the emotions are actually a big part of like what your treasures are, what your gems are, because they indicate to you, the individual who has the emotion, what's going on inside of you, what's being asked to be seen, to be heard, why is the emotion there? Emotions can be old configurations that need to be shifted, old programs, old ideas, or they can be ideas that really want to come out and really want to be seen and heard and known and felt because they're your sole purpose, so what I'm working on is working with individuals and groups on helping them decipher the codes of their emotions, and how to work with them and create a program in their system to work with those emotions. So simply put, looking at your thoughts, looking at your feelings, noticing your inner senses, your inner thoughts, what your visions are, and so I help people with what I call inner alchemy. So that's, talking with them about what's happening inside with their thoughts and feelings and what's happening in their world and what kind of tools do they have to work with it. And then I go into like hypno alchemy and dream alchemy. So hypno alchemy is working on shifting the subconscious layers, which are often in control of what happens in your outer world. For instance, if something weird happens, I end up doing this rather than going off and being weird, So we have these triggers, and how do we work with these triggers? And then shapeshift our reality and our mindset. And then the dream alchemy is actually diving deeper into your mind, your cosmic and your sub mind. So your conscious mind can realize what's happening with you and then what to do with it. Yeah.
That's quite interesting. How do you work um, on your on this dream alchemy method? Knowing that the dreams are considered by some as the expression of the subconscious mind, which has its language, and this language is always metaphorical, symbolic. There is no logic in it, and yet the subconscious mind is perceiving the totality of all the informations that we're absorbing during all the conscious day, and yet is taking any kind of information, insight, or word at first degree. How do you delve into this dream world, and how to manage to help people to find a way in this labyrinth?
Well, it's a session and it's a really long session. And we do a bunch of preparation before we get to the session. So, so I learned many different techniques from, dreaming, lucid dreaming, looking at my inner world, my subconscious, my feelings, my body talk, and all these different modalities. And transformative visualization is what dream alchemy is mostly based on, but also a bunch of, other modalities and dreaming. So I grew up looking at my dreams my whole life. So we each have our own symbology of how our subconscious works. So what I do is I guide people through their own subconscious mind by putting them in a hypnagogic state. It's similar to hypnosis, but a little bit lighter, where they can access the vaults of their inner world as I guide them, and they speak to me about what they're seeing. So we work on what they're sensing, what they're seeing, And then I make recommendations of what to do next with what they're seeing. And we record it and we actually go into that space of, so they start understanding how they work in the subconscious world a little bit more. So this transformative visualization technique was actually done in cancer clinics. So you can go and ask the cancer why it's there. What does the cancer need? So a lot of times we're just not feeding ourselves what we need. So maybe it needs more vegetables, maybe it needs water, maybe it needs to go outside, maybe it needs to be less sad. And so this idea that disease comes from emotion and that there's a root cause of the emotion. This is what Peter Levine, Gabor Mate, and this other people that I'm working with are looking at. A lot of people are looking at what's the root cause. So with the going into the subconscious with the dream alchemy, you can get to the layers of what that person is actually needing to experience and discover about themselves so that they can then make some action. So we will ask like, okay, what do you need to do? And their subconscious is a vault of knowledge that we can't always access with our conscious mind. So it's bringing that knowledge and that information to the conscious. Even if they don't remember it, we have it recorded. I'm there, I'm guiding them, and they can go back. And then we have like an integration session. So we have like a few sessions to make sure that this is something that we can do with them. If they have access and they're willing to go there. And then we go there and it's a several hour session. And then we do integration and we can do several of these. And yeah, my clients really love it. And it's an amazing experience. And it's different than hypnosis because it's more interactive, because they're talking to me, and then I'm from what their inner experience is, we then know where to go according to what we decided the adventure, the journey inside is going to be about. A lot of times it ends up being way different than we could have ever imagined, because every subconscious mind, inner world, dream space is different than the others.
It's part of a fact that Gabor Mate is from Sigmund Freud school. In the Next Level of Yourself channel, we do repost some of his talks. Maybe not regularly, but we've done that several times. He's pretty much focused in the issues of the traumas.
Yeah.
And we may suppose that a trauma is an event which has been produced, generated by the unconscious mind in order to challenge the consciousness and invite it to solve this wound as a riddle, and being able to rise itself through this process. Did you met Gabor Mate by yourself, personally?
I haven't met him personally. Mm-mm.
What is his influence toward your own practice?
Well, he really dove into why do people have, you know, certain addictions or certain diseases, and he actually would see commonality in people with the same disease having the same mental and emotional issues. So, for instance, fibromyalgia was often linked to women having mothers who are too, overburdened, overwhelming, like they can't have their own life or something like that because their mothers are controlling them. That was one of the things. So, and then cancer is often, and I'm not saying this is directly from Gabor Mate. I haven't read him recently, but often cancer is victim. You're oh, woe is me, someone hurt me, and stuck in these sabotaging kind of spaces. So we often sabotage our lives because we're wanting actually to be nurtured and to be loved. And so Gabor Mate actually had a lot of patients, and he did some studies on the different people and what were going on with them and what are the similarities, because he's trying to connect the dots, and he did very well, and it's pretty interesting to read about what he's discovered. And I'm in some networks of people that are also doing similar discoveries, who have had clinics and seen people. And there's also neurobiologists who are working on how do we sabotage our minds, but then how do we shift it? So a lot of it has to do with becoming present with ourselves and our senses and the world around us. And yeah, so Gabor Mate had his own traumas. He's always working through his own, and he feels for people, and yeah, he's discovered a lot, written some books.
Yeah, there's this work upon the addiction as well, which is so interesting, and this idea that everything could be a matter of addiction. I mean, narcotics, drugs, but sex, working, or
Thoughts,
gambling.
or mhm, or even thoughts, just your own thoughts. You can be addicted to your own inner chemistry. So if you're in this loop of depression, that could be like you're addicted to depression because you're used to having this biochemistry, this certain set of thoughts, a certain set of feelings, and then they're literally loops. Same thought, same feeling, same dynamic. So we just have to get ourselves out of the loop. Not have to, but like it helps us if I'm prone to depression, and it's in my family. So for me, depression is going to be I'm going to be talking about that a lot, because I saw in my family and in myself is that I was just stuck in this loop. Same thought, same feeling, and a lot of woe is me kind of stuff, kind of victim-y kind of thing. I don't want to get cancer. I don't want to be stuck in this loop. I'm here to live a full life and thrive no matter what, people did to me. That's the victim. They did it to me. It's like, well, okay, how do I learn from this? Like, well, for one, victim is going to create a set of biochemistry that happens in your body and mind loops, and it's not healthy. It's stressful. It's cortisol. It creates disease. It creates acidic body. So depression will create acidity, which will create more depression and more, bad thought loops, and harder to get, no serotonin, no dopamine. And so, yeah, how to get out of these loops. Programs.
And that's a question. What would be your best idea?
Well, awareness of what's happening to you. A lot of people just think and feel and go through life in this pattern that they already have created, and they're not aware of where the pattern came from, why they have it, what it's for. Some people, create patterns in their life for their work, or for their destiny or their intentions. But there's millions of patterns that every one body has, and that's why the subconscious is coded in patterns so that we actually don't have to pay attention to all these patterns that are happening, all these mechanisms and programs and algorithms that are in our bodies. So when we notice that a pattern or is looping and it's unhealthy for us, first thing is realizing that, becoming aware, oh, when I do this, when that happens, I this gets triggered and that happens. So that thing that gets triggered and that happens, I'm seeing that that's not healthy for me because I eat bad food, I smoke cigarettes, I lay down in bed and get depressed, or I yell at people, whatever these patterns are that might not be healthy for ourselves or our society, for our work, for our relationships. Realizing that there's something there that we can take responsibility for it and do something about it. So realizing this, choosing to make a new choice, discovering what that is, and then activating it. So, oh, wow. 1, awareness. 2, I'm going to make a change. 3, how am I going to make the change? Discovering that. And then 4, making the change. So in the discovery process, we might look at where did this come from? How did it get there? And what do I really want to do instead of that? That's really like full of so much. And that's where I help people go through what's happening in their inner alchemy of what's going on. Where did it come from? Do you want this? Do you want to keep on blaming someone? And then what's your reason for blame? Or do you want to actually get out of it and be a healthier person in society so you can offer your gifts? And so, and the discovery process can be simply just shifting a mind loop, a word set that's connected to a feeling set. But sometimes it's way deeper than that, and there's a lot to unfold and uncover and to shift, because our programs in our subconscious mind are often interwoven, interconnected with all kinds of programs, like different nodes interconnecting. If you imagine like these lines and this node and this program connecting to that program, and that, or this synapse firing with this information, and it's all connected in our brain. Like the synapses are very similar to nodes of information and energetic lines. And so sometimes you have to unravel the deeper, but you can start with the small and do little bits. And so there's ways to go fast with that, go slow. It really depends on the person and their transformation process, because everyone's transformation process is also different. So, and what they need and how they're going to do it. And,
How much would you say that Jesus Christ was the best psychoanalyst ever?
Well, I love his saying, forgive them, they know not what they do. Because the fact that he knew that people didn't know what was going on in their own
They
heads,
are
their own
driven by
hearts.
their unconscious mind.
Yep. They're run by their unconscious mind, and they're not in control. They've been formulated by their culture or the people around them or the events that happened in their life, in this lifetime, the previous lifetime, the next lifetime, so if you believe in reincarnation, or if you believe in genetics, codes and things like that, those are coded from another, your parents or your grandparents, or so. Yeah, I just, that's my favorite saying from him, and the biggest realization of how awesome Jesus Christ is or was, is because he just knew that they didn't have awareness. And when people have awareness about what's really happening and what they really love and what their soul is really calling them to do, then they're gonna do it, especially if society and the people around them and the life is set up to do that. And that's again back to, the rational and the passionate, or the structure and the the motion, the water, or the water flow or the air flow. When you think about architecture, there's the structure, there's the light flow, there's the air flow. So you think about the flowing parts as the emotions or the data, and you think of the structure or the rational as the thing that creates the space for that to be held. And yeah, so
Which other figures would you consider as quite inspiring? We have been speaking about Gabor Mate previously.
I
Who
spent
else?
some time. I love Amritananda Maima, Amachi. She's a guru. She's the hugging guru from India. And
Amba.
Amachi.
I know.
Um,
I met her so many times.
oh yeah, me too. We haven't talked about that. Yes, I've gotten hugged from her a lot, and she just really believes in the heart of humanity. And she just hugs you and goes ma 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 ma, like that's what she does most, which is like waking up the motherhood of you, or waking up the love in you. And it's okay, no matter what happened, to be that love. And that love is a seed in you, that spark, that spirit, that soul, that heart, that she believes in each being on earth to carry that spark, be responsible for that loving spark, to hold it and to share it in the highest and best way. And how many people believe in the spark of humanity? I do. I'm not Alma, but I'm so grateful for Alma for, really nurturing that in me by hugging me, by her darshan, by giving me the name Lotus Love. She gave me the name Padma Priya, which is lotus love, which means coming from the darkness into the light. So that's why I call my coaching offering Lotus Love Dreams, because we can dream into the light. We can dream the light. We can seed the light, into the future. And I love that path in us, and I love that in humanity, and I'm here to nurture that, and that's my life
But
soul.
Denise, if she did give you a name, then you may decently consider that you are one of her disciple, isn't it?
For
I
sure.
mean, upon
Yep.
the Indian tradition, it definitely goes this way.
Yeah.
And eventually, a spiritual master will offer a name to someone which is predestined to reach a quite high spiritual level during his life path.
I mean, I get chills when I think about how I got the name and what the meaning of it is for me, and how accurate she was, or she is, in seeing through my soul, my mission. Like, it's all written in the name, Lotus Love, because I have seen the darkness, I have seen the depression, I have had trauma in this lifetime and previous lifetimes, and I'm here to assist in us bringing the light. And I had to find the light in myself and see, and the light in others. So that's where I'm at, is like all our light is interconnected with each other, and the light, helps you see in the dark. So that lotus, it was in the dark, in the muck of the pond, the seed, and it was able to magnetize or find its way to the light of the sun and pop out on the top of the pond as a beautiful flower, receiving all the gorgeous sunlight. So that's the journey of humanity, is, and every single thought and feeling is, how are we going to tune this instrument of our bodies so that we are this beautiful, gorgeous flower popping out on top of the pond after being in all that muck. So that's the future vision that we were talking about. Like, the flower has it in it, in the holographic seed, that it's gonna be a flower, but at first it's in the darkness as this brown thing, in the muck, and it finds its way through the layers of the pond to pop out gorgeous. So that's humanity's potential.
I'm so glad to hear that. That's so lovely. Then we get to know each other better throughout this podcast. What is then is your next challenge? You're providing coachings and assistance. The audience is welcome to send some message to us if they want to join you. What is the next challenge, if I may ask?
Like my personal challenge or what I'm creating or
Absolutely. It may be your personal challenge or maybe some professional challenge, your next step, which is your next level.
okay, next level of yourself. Getting out there. So right now, I've just been kind of like in my cocoon, really doing a lot of learning, a lot of personal healing. Every once in a while, I'll do a post on social media. A lot of my friends in California, Northern California here where I am, they're also on their healing journey or healing. So a lot of us are doing that here. But I see, the rest of the world, some people might need my services. So I'm just my challenge is like, you know what? I can offer this. This is a gift. This is my gift. This is what I've been learning for over 20 years of my life. And so yeah, my current challenge is like, okay, make some posts on social media, offer the offerings. I have my packages all set and I can take on a few one-on-ones, but not too many. And then I've also created or designed some courses. So those will be coming out later. But right now, I'm just going to be opening up to a few more clients and one-on-ones. So I have packages for that, and that includes the inner alchemy and the dream, the hypnosis alchemy, and if they want to go further, the dream alchemy. But usually, I recommend that, and that's a pretty big offering because it's a lot of one-on-one time. So that's where I'm at right now. I will put out my courses at some point. I also have a podcast, but that's going slowly. And so, yeah, that's where the challenges are at.
That's wonderful. I hope that you will agree to be our guest to some next episode of Newman Open Doors soon in the future.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. I'm so grateful for being here, Bruce, and for these questions and for meeting you and knowing you. And I know that this is a part of me, getting further out there. And I just super love that you like these questions and answers and that we're on that same page so we can help a bunch of people get on the next level of themselves.
All our gratitude is expressed. And of course, don't forget, trust yourself, be next level.